diet. I almost hate that word. Where I've leaned in and seen the greatest results, especially with people who are dealing with chronic disease like type 2 diabetes. The standard American diet is one that's, I call it Frankenfood, that you need a well-planned plant-based diet. So the more restrictive you are, that's where you run into troubles. I typically tell people you need to hit at least 1 gram per kilogram, the ideal body weight for your proteins, and all the colors. You're pretty much going to cover all your bases except for B12.
How food addiction is real. What do you suggest your patients how to break it?
Over time, that food addiction, really, we start craving it even before it hits our mouth. You should not be having the foods that you want to avoid in the house.
We'll talk quickly a little bit about diets in general. There's a lot of diets here. Um, there is the Atkins diet, the weight monitor diet, the recent push in carnivorous diet, and then in the midst of so many diets, another diet, a plant-based specific diet.
Sure.
Tell us, what's your take on the different diets, first of all, and why plant-based diet specifically?
So I think we have to start with what is diet. I almost hate that word. I like to consider a whole food plant-based way of eating is a lifestyle, right? So diets would say more restrictive. We really want to be, adding in more fiber, more plant fiber. And that really gets to the bottom of it. The more fiber and more plants that you're consuming, more colors, the different types of plants, you have your whole grains, your vegetables, you have your fruits and your beans, your nuts and seeds. That's just where you're going to get a variety of your micronutrients. Now, should you choose to be 100% whole food plant-based or 80% and still consume some animal products, that is your choice. But where I've leaned in and seen the greatest results, especially with people who are dealing with chronic disease like type 2 diabetes, we're dealing with cardiovascular disease, cholesterol, hypertension, weight issues, dealt with obesity. The more they lean into the whole foods and remove the processed foods, that's where we start seeing changes in such an amazing rapid rate. And this is an anti-inflammatory diet. So instead of saying, poo-pooing other diets, I'd rather highlight what it is a matter of really bringing in the fiber and the micronutrients and all the things that come with a plant-based way of living and eating. The standard American diet is one that's, I call it Frankenfood. It's not real food. It's chemical-laden foods that they've mixed around in the lab to make it really just kind of take hostage your palate, right? And so it's high salt, it's high fat, and again, these are things that are pro-inflammatory, which make you sick. So if we walk away with it, just any diet that walks away from this ultra-processed standard American diet, you're going to feel better regardless. But where have I seen the most improvement with this anti-inflammatory approach in feeding your microbiome and really creating gut diversity is a whole food plant-based diet.
Interesting. I think a lot of papers and publications agree that processed food, chemicals, stuff that is included in it is detrimental to your body. There's a big push here where a lot of other religious, non-religious entities believe that meat, other nutrients can provide a vital component, and they're not going to be provided through plant alone. What would your argument to that be, especially when someone's looking for a higher protein content or other specific contents for a diet?
Sure. I think it's an important thing to understand that you need a well-planned plant-based diet, right? So individuals, for example, let's say they were eating a standard American diet and they switch over to a whole food plant-based diet. They're like, I'm all in, I've been convinced. And now we're bringing in a ton of fiber that their poor gut was like, what is going on here? So they get a lot of cramping and gas and all these different things. Then they're like, man, I need to cut out those beans. That was too much. So what we've done there is we've now taken a more restricted approach and we've removed the most protein-laden food, which is legumes and soy products and things, or they heard soy was bad, so they cut out all soy products, which soy is actually a phenomenal food. It's excellent for your health. And so what happens is they become a very restricted diet. And unbeknownst to them, they're cutting out some very important things. And I've seen thousands and thousands. I've been whole food plant based myself for almost 14 years. I'm 55 now and I feel amazing. And so when I have the energy, there's never been an issue with finding enough protein. But those who actually restrict that diet, right, is really where we start to see issues where people don't get enough protein. It's usually my little older ladies. They have limited capacity in their stomach. They heard, oh, someone told me to eat a pound of vegetables for breakfast. Well, that's a problem, right? Again, we become more and more restrictive. So the more restrictive you are, that's where you run into troubles. I tell my patients to build around legumes and your vegetables, right? Your non-starchy vegetables, add in those whole grains, and you, for the majority, you're going to be fine. I'm very aware of the sarcopenia issue and the loss of muscle mass as we get older. You know, I typically tell people you need to hit at least 1 gram per kilogram of body weight, ideal body weight for your protein status, if not even more. But beyond 1.6 grams per kilogram, the data just doesn't really uphold it, that you're going to get much more benefit. Pretty easy to do, especially when you bring in the soy products like, you know, tofu, tempeh, edamame, those things. Lupini beans are amazing. So again, I think if we're paying attention to eating all categories of whole plant foods on a regular basis in all the colors, you're pretty much going to cover all your bases except for B12. Now, B12 is made by bacteria. Now, these bacteria live in water. They live in the soil. And so we live in a society that we're very hygienic. So unless you want to go take a tablespoon of, you know, dirt or some unfiltered water, where you can get that little micronutrient that you need.
Thank you for answering that. I think that explains a few of the concerns that our audience has. A lot of times it is a lifestyle modification. You already mentioned a few times that it should be looked at from a lifestyle standard, from a lifestyle viewpoint, rather than just something that you have as an addiction for food. You've also discussed in some of your talks about how food addiction is real. What do you suggest your patients how to break it, and how to overcome food addiction is real, and people like wrap their walls around it?
I think it's really important to understand that, first of all, it's not like alcohol, right? So if someone is an alcoholic, they can avoid where alcohol is served, but you have to eat. You don't have to have alcohol to survive, but you have to eat. And fast food and all these things are readily available anywhere, and you actually look abnormal when you don't consume them, right? So now we're dealing with the community aspects and the social pressures that being different. So I think number one is you have to actually change your identity. You have to believe and truly understand that you have to make the stand. You know, you put the line in the sand and say, I am someone who only makes healthy choices for my body. And when you've made that decision, this will help clarify which your decisions are moving forward. And so the other piece of this is understanding habits, right? So habits start in a habit loop. There's a cue or trigger, there's the behavior and the reward. So let's say that when you were 8 years old and you went to a birthday party, and at the birthday party, there's friends, there's cake, there's ice cream, there's all this delicious, sugary, chips and salsa and friends, and everything's going crazy. And your brain's lighting up going, this is fantastic. Do not forget the birthday party and the cake and the ice cream. Like, wow. So now when you're a teenager and you're under stress, or you're in college and you're working, you get stressful emails and you're dealing with stuff, your brain's like, I don't like not feeling bad. Do you remember that cake and ice cream? Why don't we go get some? And so now, because the brain is trying to make you feel better, you remember, it's like, I remember that cake and ice cream. You go eat some cake and ice cream or something sweet, something like that. Immediately, you get sugar, you get a little bit of relief and that reward, and the brain's like, I knew that would work. Let's do that again. So that habit starts being instilled, right? So we start dealing with the food and we start hijacking, our palate. We start hijacking what's going on in the brain. And the brain is just trying to help you survive, right? It's trying to make you feel better. And over time, that food addiction really we start craving it even before it hits our mouth, right? We don't even care. The craving becomes so much greater than actual reward at some point. So I always tell people we don't want to break the habit. What we want to do is change out the behavior. So the stress will come, the conversations will be difficult, the time in the afternoon, the drive home when you're bored, all of these things will happen still. But what can we do in change of that eating, right? So one, your environment is very important. It's more important than your willpower. So if you remove the cues in your environment, home should be your safe space, right? You should not be having the foods that you want to avoid in the house.
So at the end of the day, you're removing those environments.
Yeah.
You're sublimating or sublimation to habits that or behaviors that you've adapted before to some healthy habits.
Right.
And you're making sure your cues,
Yep.
I'm going to a restaurant with a friend, you're anticipating, you're setting cues that you're basically preparing yourself maximally as so
Exactly.
it's all about preparation
It
and
really is.
sublimation.
And it gets easier. I promise.
I'm sure over a period of time, oh my God, they're all going out now. They're gonna eat this food, that food, and you're mentally already ready as okay, what I'm gonna order. This is a
Yeah.
place because they're not. If you think about it, they're not plant-based. A lot of plant-based restaurants. There are some
Yeah.
in big metropolitan cities as well, and it's coming
I
along. It's making quite a bit of. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've had some of the best plant-based meals at a steakhouse. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
just ask for a potato, some steamed veggies, and I'm set, right? And so
yeah,
again, many places will have at least one or two options. I think there's a
sure.
few that I wouldn't go to. Is probably IHOP. That might be a
Yeah,
struggle.
yeah,
But again, or you just eat beforehand. You bring your own food. It's just a choice. I've made a choice to make health my top priority because without my health,
yeah.
it's a struggle to be who I'm meant to be in this world. And so I want to show up the best I can, and that
Absolutely.
includes making better choices.
Wonderful. Dr. Margaret,
Absolutely.
we're going to move on to the next section. I know we're running over time already, and
Okay.
your time is pretty valuable. We appreciate it. This
Okay.
section is about rapid fire questions.
Okay.
We're going to be asking a choice between one or the other, and then you can tell us what your choice is. It just gets our audience to know a little bit more about the presenter.
Okay.
So this is going to be allowed. This is when you're ready. I'm going to start asking you a few
Go
questions.
for it. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a little nervous.
Diet change or mindset change?
Mindset change.
Plant-based diet or Mediterranean diet?
I prefer the plant-based diet.
Genetics or lifestyle change?
Oh, lifestyle 100%.
Food timing or food quality? What
Food
wins?
quality. Food quality.
Telehealth or in-person care?
Ooh, telehealth.
Eat cleaner or eat smarter?
Ooh, eat smarter.
Hunger pain or discipline gain?
What was that again? The first one?
Hunger pain or discipline gain?
Ooh, you said hunger pain or discipline gain? I guess discipline gain, it comes with tiny habits. Yeah.
Like comes with tiny habits. And last one is, I know this one, what you're going to say, eat to live or live to eat?
Oh, absolutely. You want to live. Well, you want to eat to live, right? You want to fuel your life that you're eager to live.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Final message to our audience from Dr. Margaret.
I think it's really important to understand that even though you may have feel that you have failed in life, whatever your choices are, whatever the obstacles that are in front of you, instead of looking at the entire problem or look at it, it's like, one, what is this here to teach me? And two, what is the very next step I can lean into that will lead me to where I want to be? And it doesn't have to be, the full staircase. It just needs to be the very next step. And many times it'll present itself when you just change your frame of mind, right? Just change, like you said, the mindset, and just know that can be applied to anything in your life. And you've done hard things before. You can absolutely do hard things again. But if you shrink it, it gets much, much more manageable.
Fantastic. Dr. Margaret, thank you so much for joining our episode today. Your practical science-based approach is exactly, I think, what people need right now. So thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
What a remarkable journey we've just experienced together. The path to health isn't always straight, but it's always worth the effort. I hope today's conversation inspired you to take the next step in your wellness journey. I'm with new knowledge and a fresh perspective. If today's episode left you inspired, share it with people, someone who need to hear this. Give us a thumbs up and your opinion. Keep exploring, keep evolving, and we'll see you in the next episode of Khan Clinics.